This year, the state of Tennessee will spend nearly $3 million to house and feed 76 death row inmates. Now, some groups call that money a waste, but the cost to taxpayers doesn't end there. Fox 17's Eric Alvarez investigates some of the other costs and tells us why even people who support the death penalty say it's time for a change.
Open and close.
Tennessee's Department of Correction estimates it spends almost $65 to house and feed one inmate for one day. The cost is $39 more for death row inmates. $104 a day for 365 days means the state spends almost $2.9 million a year to house just 76 people that are sentenced to die. And many of them spend decades on death row.
Since 1960, we've executed 6 people. I mean, if you described any other government program that ineffective and that costly, I think people would be asking a lot of questions.
The Department of Correction declined our request for an interview, but a spokesperson says that extra $39 pays for heightened security. Rector says the additional expense in housing a death row inmate is just the tip of the wasteful spending iceberg.
It's actually the capital trial that's the most expensive part of the process.
This 2004 state comptroller study says capital trials cost 48% more than trials where prosecutors seek life without parole. Representative Barrett Rich is a strong supporter of capital punishment, but he does agree with Rector's group on one thing.
They're calling death row a waste of taxpayer dollars.
I think in some ways they're right. What we need to do is speed up the process, allow them to make their appeals, expedite it, put time limits on the books, and get it done.
Rector says the best solution is to get rid of the death penalty altogether.
Wouldn't our money be better spent to support murder victims' family members in the wake of homicide, to give more resources to our law enforcement community?
Eric Al.
That was Eric Alvarez reporting. Now, the state planned to execute Billy Eric last month, but that date has now been pushed back to October. Eric has been on death row since 1986 after being convicted of raping and killing a 7-year-old girl.
Our Waste Watch reports hold public officials accountable for how they spend your money, and recently we learned more about lawsuits stacking up against Wilson County and its former schools director, Dr. Tim Sutherland. As Fox 17's Megan O'Halloran shows us, the legal action could cost county taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars.
Under piles of paperwork, Nashville attorney Mike Clemens is preparing to go after Wilson County's former director of schools, Dr. Tim Sutherland.
Seemed to sort of have an attitude that he was above the law.
Just weeks ago, Dr. Sutherland admitted to having a beer and driving in his county car. He retired early and is receiving paychecks totaling $78,000 through the end of June. That's a little more than the remaining balance of his $165,000 annual salary. Wilson County School Chairman Don Weathers tells us the settlement was best for the district.
We don't want to do anything to put our students in a position where they're not learning, and that's why we felt like the best thing for us to do was reach the agreement with Dr. Sutherland and move on.
But some people don't think the settlement is fair.
I think that if it happened to one of us, we wouldn't negotiate any salary. We would be out on our keister.
After Sutherland's departure, the school district is now dealing with lawsuits.
This is certainly not the first one, and it's certainly not going to be the last one that we are involved in where an employee sues our system.
Last September, staff supervisors Jill Miko and Bill Moss were both fired, told their positions were eliminated. Attorney Clemens helped at least one of those veteran teachers get his job back, but Bill Moss is still suing. He was paid $31,924.31 in back pay, all coming out of, that's right, taxpayers' pockets.
They had to pay somebody for September, October, November, and December for work that he was ready, willing, and able to do.
Clemens hopes to get Miko's job back, too, and he wants Wilson County to pay attorney's fees and court costs. In Wilson County, Megan O'Halloran, Fox 17 News.
Wilson County Schools selected Mary Ann Sparks to serve as interim school director while the school board searches for a permanent replacement. Up next.
Some Nashville leaders say the city is borrowing too much money. Why they say it's not just a waste, it's a risk.